Whether Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or some other Democrat runs at the head of the ticket, it's not going to matter. That person will still have to defend the many failures of the Biden administration's big government socialist policies. The modern Democratic Party today is a far-left party being driven by Senator Bernie Sanders or Senator Elizabeth Warren or Congresswoman AOC and her squad. By the way, as Newt Gingrich reminds me, when Vice President Kamala Harris was Senator Kamala Harris, she co-sponsored a socialized medicine bill with Senator Bernie Sanders. And that bill was priced out to be, wait for it, $32 trillion. Need to know any more? Finland or who else? Today, Ms. Harris was down in North Carolina bragging about student loan cancellations. The problem is the Supreme Court has ruled that the president doesn't have the authority to cancel student loans. But he's going to do it anyway because he doesn't care about the Supreme Court. A little while ago, Mr. Biden gave a short speech attacking the Supreme Court after it ruled that former President Trump had immunity when undertaking official duties. This is the same Democratic Party that says it's defending democracy. Only they don't defend democracy. No matter who runs at the top of the Democratic ticket, they're still stuck with the affordability crisis and the fact that middle-class kitchen tables have been shrinking for 3.5 years as prices have risen faster than wages for working folks. They still have to defend the catastrophic open border policies of at least 10 million illegal immigrants and the crime wave that's gone along with it, as declining public safety has become a national issue linked to the illegals. No matter who's at the top of the Democratic ticket, they'll still have to defend the unpopularity of left-wing woke cultural issues, which have violated traditional family values throughout the middle class. This includes DEI mandates, which themselves are the progenitors of a vicious wave of anti-Semitism, which finds its center of gravity in the Democratic Party. And whoever the Democratic nominee, that person will have to defend the burden of hugely unpopular electric vehicle mandates, which would send auto worker jobs to China, and the whole Green New Deal wave, which has jacked up electricity prices as it sends out trillions and trillions of spending, budget deficits, and federal borrowing. And whoever runs at the head of the Democratic ticket is going to have to defend the collapse of Afghanistan, or Russia's Putin thumbing his nose at Biden in the Ukraine, or Iran's thumbing its nose at Biden as its terrorist proxies have attacked Israel. Whoever runs at the head of the Democratic Party will have to explain how it's possible that they did not enforce any of the energy sanctions on Iran or Russia so that China can finance 2 wars against the U.S. by importing oil from Russia and Iran. All this is the Biden Democratic Party legacy of failure. No matter who runs at the top of that ticket, they will have to shoulder that enormous burden of failure. And that is my riff